Sex is not something that your husband wants. Sex is something that he needs. And I know, ladies, that you desire sex too, but I want to focus on helping you to understand your husband's sexual desires and why he desires sex. It is one of the primary ways that he feel appreciated and experience love from his wife. Sex is the most important way to validate your love for him. And so in this video, I will share with you 6 reasons why you need to think about sex differently when it comes to your husband. And at the end of the video, I will share with you how to overcome this challenge if it is a problem in your marriage. First, let me say that I am not speaking to wives who are in abusive marriages or your husband is out there committing adultery and shacking up. No, I'm not speaking to you. This is not for you. You need to seek licensed mental professional or someone that is trained in dealing with domestic abuse or anything of that sort if that is your story. I'm speaking to those that are in good marriages, but you find yourself distanced from each other. You find yourself not necessarily on the same page. And so I want to speak directly to you. So number 1, sex makes him happy. If you ask your husband what makes him happy in the marriage, sex is going to be at the top of the list. It's going to be up there with respect and honor. And if I should ask you as a wife what makes you happy, you would tell me the way he loves you, the way he honors you, the way he talks to you, how he makes you feel, he listens to you. Yes, that's what you would tell me. Sex is often not at the top of the list for most wives, not all, but most wives. And it doesn't mean that you don't desire it. It just means that it's not what drives you the most. But when it comes to your husband, it is important to him. You know, for you ladies, it's more about the things that he does. It's about the conversation. It is about being vulnerable. It's about being safe to be yourself in the marriage. For your husband, it is one of the top on his list. And so please, you must remember that. Number 2, sex releases stress. During sexual activity, your husband's body goes through a series of psychological and mental changes. These changes include an increase in heart rate, blood flow, and the release of endorphins, which is a natural mood elevators. These physical responses help reduce the stress and tension in your husband's body. See, sexual activity triggers the release of various hormones, including oxytocin, which is sometimes called the love hormone, or it's called the bonding hormones. Oxytocin can enhance his feelings of attachment and it reduces stress. And so, you know, it improves sleep also in men. That is the reason why most times after a man have sex, he just goes to sleep. You know, it is one of those things that helps a man to relax. Better sleep can contribute to the overall release and reduce of stress in your husband. So take that into consideration. Number 3, sex should not be used as a weapon. This is a big complaint from a lot of men that I have worked with. You know, some of you use sex as a weapon against your husband. I mean, I'm just going to say it. And the reason why you use it as a weapon is because you know how important it is to your husband. Some of you guys use it to manipulate him. It's used as manipulation. You know, you control access to sex, not him, you. If you don't give it, he can't get it. If he take it without you giving it, it's considered to be sexual abuse. You know, so you use it to get what you want sometimes. I don't know, some of y'all don't want to hear this, but this is the truth. This is information that a lot of good husbands shared with me. Some of you guys just give him lazy sex. You don't put an effort into it. And you think because he desire you sexually, something is wrong with him. There's nothing wrong with him. There's nothing wrong. He is a man. He is your man. He is supposed to desire you. That's how God created him. Why would you want to change who he is as a man? It's counterproductive to think differently. I'm not saying that he must get sex every night and twice a night on the weekends. No, that's not what I'm saying. Sex is important to your husband. And if it is important to your husband, it should be important to you too. Number four, sex is a part of marriage. Yes, sex is a part of marriage. Let me remind you that sex is important. Again, I did not get married to my wife just to pay bills. No, I have no problem. I'm a good husband. I'm a great father. I pay bills in my house. Listen, I didn't get married just to make sure that there's just roof over her head. I get married for that. Yes, I get married to protect. I get married to serve. I get married to honor. I get married to be faithful in my marriage. But I also get married because I know that sex is a part of marriage. Sex is not the purpose of marriage, but it is one of the benefits of marriage. And your husband wants to enjoy the benefits of being in love with you. You're supposed to enjoy it too. He's supposed to take care of your body. He's supposed to know how to make you feel good. He's supposed to understand the anatomy and the physiology of your body as a wife. He's supposed to know exactly how to touch your body, the erogenous zones and the areas that he can touch to stimulate and increase your sexual desire. But the truth be told that I don't need sex all the time. But when I do feel and desire sex from my wife, it feels good to know that when I do desire sex, my wife makes herself available to add value to my life in that area. Number five, sex is not an option. Sex is not an option. Why? Because it's a responsibility to your marriage. You have a responsibility to take it seriously. And I know some of you are thinking, well, you don't understand what we go through as women. And listen, talk to your husband about it. That's why you need to have conversation. That is the reason why we are so big in communication in marriage. We are big on personal growth. We are big on spiritual growth because you have got to become holistic as an individual in order for you to really level up in these areas. And that goes for the man too. But this is not for the man. I'm speaking directly to wives. Got to take care of your responsibility. I had to have conversation with my wife and let her know, because a lot of times, especially when you start having children and you have a career and all these different things are going on, sometimes you just put your husband on the back burner, and he's not supposed to put you on no burner either. But both of you guys have to be conscious and be aware that this is important for marriage. Sex does not make a marriage work, but it's almost impossible to make a marriage work without it. And when you see sex as an obligation, it makes it feel like a chore. No interest or effort is put into it. I'm not telling you to blow out your back. For God's sake, that's not what I'm saying, but initiate. Make him feel like you desire him. Because when you initiate sex, you're saying to him that I see you, I desire you, I want you, I'm attracted to you, I'm into you. That's important, guys. It's really important. You know, folks talk about it all the time that, well, if I don't want to have sex, he can't force me. He shouldn't force you to do anything. If you're not medically ill or anything is not going on in your body, why can't you see it as important? And then you have a problem if you start looking at another woman and think that just because he's a Christian, he's just supposed to pray about it and everything is going to be okay. Why should he have to pray about not having sex? It just doesn't make any sense when we really think about it. He's not a single man. He's married. He has a wife. And these are some of the things that we need to really talk about in the body of Christ, in the church, because it's impacting how people serve and, all these virtual affairs. And a lot of these things can be prevented if we really lean into each other and really add value to each other's lives. It is critical to a marriage that both of you take this seriously. Number 6, it connects you together. So let me be upfront about it and let you know that if you're not having sex with your husband, that's not good. You are actually setting him up for failure. And I kind of touched on that in the last point in number 5. See, you cannot build a happy marriage without it. I'm not talking about those of you that are in your 90s and in your 80s and even people at that age. Sometimes they still want to get it on. Maybe their body don't respond as fast, but they think about it. It's still in their subconscious. Come on, let's be real. I don't care how good you think you are as a wife, or how saved and sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost your husband is. If he's not getting sex from you, he's not happy as a man, especially if he's in his prime. He ain't got no ED problem and none of that stuff is going on. He's either masturbating, he's either watching porn. And I know you guys don't want to hear it, but I'm just speaking truth because I have the data. I have the receipt from husbands that tells me about these different things. Okay? Or he's thinking about being with another woman. And you probably saying, well, why should he have to do that? Well, let me just remind you that the wisest man that ever lived, okay, lost his throne because of strange woman. The strongest man that ever lived find himself in a situation where, the wicked witch Delilah was able to allow him to get killed. He lost his strength and his power because of a strange woman that he slept with, that didn't love him because of lust. David was a worshiper, and David find himself in a situation where he looked and he saw, he lust, he committed adultery, and he committed murder. So let's not play games with this thing. And I consider these three men to be some of the general of God's men in the Bible, but they fall short because of sexual sin. So please don't sit there with your holy righteous self and think that it's just okay for your husband to pray about it. And I listen, man, I have tons of videos talking to men about why they need to love their wives and take care of their wives. But listen, this is the season when God is allowing me to have a balance between the man and the woman, the husband and the wife, because marriage is about two people coming together for the greater good of a marriage, building it together. And whether you like it or not, that's the truth. And somebody need to tell you the God Almighty truth, because the devil is out there trying to get you or to get your spouse to commit adultery. And we got to protect our spouse. We got to do what we need to do to stay faithful in the marriage. It ain't something that just happened by happenstance. It's a planned event. It's a decision. In 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 5, it says, do not deprive one another, except perhaps by agreement for a limited time, that you may devote yourselves to prayer, but then come together again, so that Satan, the devil, may not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. We do know that self-control is one of the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians chapter 5. The Bible tells us that the two shall become one. The two becoming one. You and your husband, you and your wife are now one flesh. How do you think that the two shall become one? The two shall become one through a sexual encounter. It was through sex that Adam and Eve became one flesh. Just like how Adam and Eve sexually bond together, you and your husband need to bond in that way. So finally, how to overcome this problem? You must see your husband as important and valuable to you. You will not show interest in anything concerning your marriage if you're not invested in it. You're not showing up. You're not adding value to his life. You have to do that. You have to invest. I always tell men all the time that if you're not investing in your wife, you're not going to want to protect her. If you're not invested in that relationship, you will not protect it. It's the same thing for a woman. If you're not showing up and adding value to your husband, he's not going to feel like you love him. You don't love where you get, you love where you give. You have to also feel confident within yourself. And if your husband is the reason why you're not confident sexually, then y'all need to fix that. If he's talking down to you, if he's saying things that is not right, it's not the appropriate, then both of you guys need to talk about it. If there's any issues or any problem, anger issues or unforgiveness, deal with it. Let it go. Whatever it is that is stopping you from leaning into your husband or leaning into the marriage, you need to work on it. You need to fix it. And that's why we're big on personal growth, guys. I believe that you will never become the best version of yourself until you really take a look at where you are, where you're going, what you're doing, how you feel about yourself, and it's in these type of situation that you find that women kind of withdraw from the relationship. And men has to take responsibility too for how they show up and what they do in the marriage, because you play a role in how your wife really respond to you sexually. You know, it is said that a man just need a place to have sex and a woman needs a reason to do it. I believe there's some truth to it based on how a man and a woman is created. You know, again, sex is wired to her brain. You have to speak to her heart. You have to speak to her mind. You have to speak to her soul or her emotion. The love and the affection that you share must be on display in order for her to become magnetized to you and gravitate towards you sexually. And so it is important to level up in that area so that you can become the best version of yourself and get the result that you're looking for and that you and your wife need in order to become the best that you can be for each other. And so, guys, that's what I want to share with you. So please take the time to rethink your attitude about sex concerning your husband. May God continue to bless you. Thank you for watching. And why don't you check out this other video that will help you to level up and love your husband in an amazing and in a profound way. Can't wait to see you in the next one.